Okay, let's start the class again. Since, as we said, the parasite is an organism live on or in a host organism. The parasite can get the food from this the host from the here sometimes the human or some other animals. Since the symbiosis, as we said, the divided three kind of group relationship, including commensalism, mutualism, and parasitism. Since the human parasitology may focus on this parasitism. Parasitism including two parts. The one is the parasite, the other one is called the host. So the host can divide into several kinds of the host. The one is called definitive host. Definitive host. Definitive host means the adult worm living this host. Then the intermediate host is the larva stage living the host. So that is the intermediate host. There's some others, reservoir host and paratenic or transport host. We will tell you in detail later. So the three kind of the relationship for this, like in the two different organisms, including communism, parasitism, and mutualism. The relationship of the shares a little bit is not completely separate. So that means the share some common, such as the parasitism. Some of them they also do some part of the benefit for the other part. So that is then for the parasite. For the parasite, the survival manner in the environment or in the animal or in the human. This we can divide according to the survival manner, can divide into several groups. Some parasite we call the obligate parasite. So the obligate parasite means this kind of parasite, they cannot survive in any other manner as they only survive in the human body. So it's like most human parasites, they all belong to the obligate parasite. So it's when they left the adult worm or left the human body, they cannot survive anymore. Then the other one is called facultative parasite. So this kind of parasite, they can exist in a free living state. Free living, like even if without human, they can still survive. We call it free living state. Or they can also as a commensal state. There's some parasites they can. The other way means this kind of parasite they can survive in the environment independent, and also they can also once they go to the human body they can also survive. So that is called a facultative parasite. There's few parasites they can occasionally invade into the human. We call the temporary parasite. Since here's based on the survival manner, most of them belong to the obligate parasite. Some of them become to the facultative parasite. Few of them is called temporary parasite. This according to the parasite living in the body or on the surface, we can divide the parasite into two groups. The one is called endoparasite. Endoparasite, like Ascaris lumbricoides or liver fluke or some others, they live in the human body. We call the endoparasite. Some parasites are living on the surface of the human body, or we call them ectoparasite. Ectoparasite, like the mosquito or the fly or some sandfly or this kind of the insect, we call the ectoparasite. So that is based on the living in the body or on the surface of the body. So the parasite, there are three main classes they can cause disease in human, including medical protozoa. Here it means we put the medical means this kind of parasite they can cause a disease. Medical here means medical arthropod. this kind of part. You know, there's a lot of the protozoa, kind of the protozoa. Not all of them can cause disease. Only for them here, we only study the parasite, the protozoa or helminths or the arthropod. They can cause disease. So for the helminths also divided into three groups: the trematode, cystode, and the nematode. The cystode, the other name is called tapeworm, since this parasite, the adult worm, the morphology is like a tape. Nematode has other name is called roundworm. Roundworm is a round form, so that is the nematode, the helminths. Since we discuss a lot of the concept of the parasite, since we have to, when we study a parasite, we have to give a name. Since how to name a parasite? Since each parasite has two names. The one is called genus, then the other one is called species name. Species name, such as Schistosoma japonicum. Since here Schistosoma is called genus name. Japonicum is the species name. Schistosoma japonicum. Schistosoma mansonia, that is also the species name. So the first part is the genus name, or the second part is called species name. Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me? This said mute. I didn't, not mute. Let me check. It should be okay, right? I didn't change anything. Okay, you can hear. That's good. Oh, okay. I got nervous. Thank you. Oh, that's good. Yeah. So that is one disadvantage of the online course. Since we cannot see you, you cannot hear me. Since, but at this special situations, there's no other better way to do it. So that's we have record videos. Since you, for some people, due to that internet problem, you can watch the video later on. Don't worry too much. Okay. Okay, the parasite, as we said, is three groups. The one is the protozoa. Protozoa is a single cell, one cell. It's pretty small. We have to look at it on the microscope. It's 1,000 magnification. As we can see it. Once you go to the laboratory or you use microscope, use the lens, the 100x lens. Here's some example we will study later, including the parasite living the blood, such as Plasmodium or Leishmania, or the Toxoplasma. There's some parasite protozoa living the intestine, including Entamoeba, Giardia, and Cryptosporidium. This kind of parasite living the human intestine. And some protozoa also live in the other organs, such as the trichomonas and some others. Since later on, we will study the parasite one by one. Today is the general introduction part, so we just show you brief idea. Such as on the microscope, single cell, you can see it. This is the example of trophozoid of the Entamoeba histolytic. This is the trophozoid stage. Then the other stage is called cyst. Cyst is like a ball or a round form. This is the cyst of the Entamoeba histolytic. Then the Giardia is like a monkey face. You see the two eye. This is the trophozoid stage of the Giardia. Then the other one is also the cyst stage. So to make the correct diagnosis, you have to find this trophozoite or the cyst of this parasite on the microscope. Then you can make the correct diagnosis. Just based on the clinical manifestations, it's hard to make the parasitic disease diagnosis. Then the malaria parasite, you see, so this is the others, this kind of the RBC red blood cells. Then this is the parasite called trophozoite stage or the Plasmodium vivax. It's in the inside of this RBC. Then the other stage are schizons or called schizons, that is the Plasmodium vivax. Then the gametocyte stage or the P vivax. This is the female and this is the male. How to distinguish male and female? We will tell you in the laboratory class when we study this malaria parasite. That is the protozoa. Then the helminths divided into the three groups. The one is the trematoda. Trematoda is different living place. Schistosoma is living in the blood, in the vessel, blood vessel is mixed with the blood. Because this parasite can also suck the blood of RBC, this kind of as the food. Then is some others like the Phacolepis boschi is the Chronichus sinensis living in the intestine. There are some other parasites like the Paragonimus westmania living in the lung. There's also some others living in other organs. That is the trematoda. So the trematoda is they have the different adult worm. They have the different shape. You look at this. This is the schistosoma. Schistosoma is the male and female worm. Pain of the schistosoma, male and female. Since the big one is the male, the inside is the female. For the development, they have to pain together. So that is very unique. For this, the liver fluke or Chronichus sinensis, you can see the inside is it has the one parasite has the male and female reproductive system. So that is we call the monocism. Then the second helminth is called the tapeworm. Tapeworm is cestoda. Other name is called cestoda. For the tinea sodium, tinea sacchinata, they all live in that human intestine. Then the Echinococcus granulosus, the larva stage, live in the human liver, or the lung, or the brain, or the bone, or some other organs. So that is this tapeworm. Then some of them also live in the brain and other organs, such as Spermanthium mansonia. So here is just to show, to let you know this kind of tapeworm. Different tapeworms live in the different organs. So why we say that? For the because the parasite infect different, they invade the different organs. They cause the clinical manifestation is different. If like for this, live in the intestine, they will cause abdominal pain or this kind of symptom. If they live in the brain, they will cause the headache or this kind of symptom. So here is like the morphology part of this larva stage or the tinea sacchinata, cysticercus. This tinea sodium is different. Since we look at the head part of the shape is different. We will tell you when we talk about this tinea sodium or tinea sacchinata later on. Then the helminth, the third part is the roundworm. Roundworm is also it's called the nematoda. Nematoda is this kind of the parasite ascaris, pinworm, whipworm, and hookworm. They all live in the human's intestine. So they cause this symptom, is like the diarrhea or abdominal pain, this kind of the symptom. There is some parasite like the filaria. Filaria live in the human lymphatic system, like the huge leg or this kind of the symptom. There is trichinella live in the human intestine as well as the muscle, so they cause the muscle pain or this kind of the symptom. So as we said, we have to look at the morphology part to make the diagnosis, such as the microfilaria, Bancroft microfilaria is different from this Malaya microfilaria on the microscope. Then is the larva stage of this kind of the roundworm. This is the roundworm. Then for the helminths to make the diagnosis, sometimes it's quite difficult to find the adult worm. Then we try to find the egg from the feces, especially for the parasite and this adult worm living in the intestine. The adult worm lay the egg, then mix with the feces, then go out. So here shows some typical helminth eggs, the shape. So it's based on this the shape we can do the identification. Such as this, the first one is the unfertilized egg of the Ascaris lumbricoides. It's like this kind of shape. Then is from 2 to 4 is the fertilized egg. So we can see the difference. So in detail how to distinguish them, we will, when we discuss this parasite, we will tell you, and also in the laboratory class, we will tell you from which aspect to distinguish them. Then is the hookworm. Then is some others. This one is the whipworm. There's some others. Different shape. Some of them quite small, like the liver fluke. Then some of them is quite big. The biggest one is like the Parasitology boschi. So on the microscope, we can distinguish them. So this is quite important. That is why we need to do the like laboratory class. In the laboratory class, you use microscope. On the microscope, you can see this egg, the egg shape. Then the third part of this medical parasite is called medical arthropod. Medical arthropod including the arachnid as well as the insect. So the insect is quite common, like the mosquito and fly, Fannia, louse, cockroach, sandfly. They all belong to the class insect. Then the other one is the tick and mites. Mites, very kind of tick, soft tick and hard tick, very kind of different, many kinds of the mites. They all belong to that arachnid. So here is to show the shape of the morphology part of this mosquito, then the fly and the tick. As we said, this morphology part we will study this one by one later. So the parasitology is to study the parasite and also the relationship to the host. Here the host including the human as well as the animal. So especially for the medical parasite. Medical parasite, other name is called human parasite. We need to study the morphology, life cycle, relationship with the host, and also the environment, such as the intermediate hosts like the snail or in the environment, and also how to do the prevention and control. That is also important. So the medical parasitology is including medical pathology, medical hermetology and medical anthropology. So the key part when you study the human parasitology, we tell you some like the method of how to study it. So the important part is the life cycle of this each parasite. So what is called the life cycle? Life cycle is the period of time that it takes for an organism. Organism here means the parasite. For a parasite to live its entire life. Entire life means from the egg, then to the larva, then to the adult, then the adult lay the egg again. So it's form a cycle. It's called a life cycle. So the parasite or the insect during the life cycle, they can change the shape several times during the life cycle. Like you see, the egg is significantly different than the adult worm, and also the larva. Larva is different than the adult worm, so it's that change the shape. So the parasite needs the host to provide provide like the food and then house. So the host, there's several kind of hosts, including the definitive host, intermediate host, reservoir host, and transport host. Transport host, other name is called paratenic host. So let's see what is the concept of. So what is the host? So the host means this organism, like an animal or the organism, can harbor the parasite and provide the nourishment and the shelter. This symbol means the host provide the food and the house to this parasite. So that is called the host. So the definitive host means the host harbors the adult parasite, and the most highly developed form is nearly adult worm or the parasite, or in which the parasite replicates sexually. That is for the protozoa. You know, the protozoa single cell. It's hard to say it's adult worm or the larva. So for the protozoa, we use this replicate sexually stage, or that is the host. It's called definitive host. Such as the human is the definitive host of this liver or liver fluke. So that is the definitive host, adult worm, adult parasite. Then the intermediate host then harbors the larva stage, or the asexual form of the parasite. Asexual form is like for this protozoa, that is the asexual form, that stage, that is the host, that is called intermediate host. There is the reservoir host. Reservoir host means this host is an animal. You got to remember this kind of the reservoir host to compare with the human. You cannot say the human is the reservoir host because we are medical school, so we put the human as a central place. Here the host is the animal. Animal can harbor the parasites and serve an important source of infection to other hosts or to the human. So that is the reservoir host, which means this animal infected by this parasite, the parasite can do the multiplication or develop to the adult worm in the animal. Then they can finish the lay the egg from the animal. Then this kind of egg then can do further development in the environment. Then they can also have chance to infect the human. So that is we call this kind of animal as the reservoir host. Then the transport host. The other name is called the paratenic host. So some parasite larva stage, they can invade a host we call the non-normal host. Why is called non-normal host? So that this larvae are invade into this host, they cannot grow to the adult worm. They only lives at the larva stage, still lives there, but they cannot do the further develop to the adult worm. Then if the larva has a chance in a normal definitive host, then the larva can continue to grow into the adult worm. Now we call this non-normal host. It's called the paratenic host, or called the transport host. So that because this host, its function is as a transport or carrier host. So that is called a transport host. So because it has the reservoir host and also this paratenic host or the transport host. So that is we have other concept is called the zoonosis. Zoonosis means the disease of the animal is transferred to the human animal disease, such as the parasite infect the animal, then it has a chance they can transmit the disease, the parasite from the animal to the human. Then there's also a chance the disease transmit from the human to the animal. So they can transmit each other, such as the dog and cats, like the toxoplasma parasite transmit from the cat to the human, this kind of things. So they transmit between these animals as well as the human, transmit each other. So that is called a zoonosis. So when we studied each parasite, pretty often we can see this kind of picture of the parasite, the life cycle. So once you see this kind of picture, you should from this kind of life cycle picture, as we also say, the life cycle is quite important. So from this picture, you should get to know which one is the host, such as for here, you can see the human type is the host. Those which one is the parasite. So this all the parasite, this parasite like the different stages of the parasite. Then you also need to do the life stages, different stages such as the egg, then the mycelium, then the scaria, then the metascaria, then the adult worm larva, then the adult worm, the very kind of stages of this parasite. Then once the parasite go into the human body, you got to know the parasitic site, such as for this one is the parasite during the lung. So then you know the clinical manifestation will including the cough, the chest pain, this kind of the symptom. Then for the diagnosis purpose, you also need to know which stage of the parasite can be detected. Such as for this parasite, we detect it's in the feces, the egg pass into go into the water. So we check to find the egg in the feces, or in the sputum, you can also find the egg. Then how the people get infected. The people eat this raw or uncooked the crab, then this including the metascaria, they got infected. So that is we can get a lot of information so the life cycle. So how the parasite transmit the way of transmission of the parasites. The source of the parasites to the source of the infection, then to the susceptible individual. There's many ways, including like the foodborne transmission. So eating the food including some like the animal or fish or meat, this kind of things. Some of them also transmitted through the waterborne transmission. You drink the water, or the water is contaminated with some infective state of the parasite. You will the people will get infected. Then some of them parasites can invade or go into the infect the humans through the soil. We call the soil-borne transmission, like the hookworm. Then is also through called arthropod-borne transmission. Arthropod is like the mosquito or the malaria parasite transmitted through the mosquito bite the people. This also including called vertical transmission, like the Toxoplasma gondii, or as directly from the mother to the fetus. So that is the vertical transmission. Then some of them also can transmit through the contact transmission, like the sexual contact or skin-to-skin touch. So that is called contact transmission. So that is the sixth major way of the parasite can transmit from one people to the other person. So the parasite, once we discuss the parasite, then we have to know this two interaction of parasite and host interaction. So the first, the parasite has the ability of breach the host barrier and evade the destruction by innate local and tissue host defense. Since parasitism is the result of the evolution, such as initially the parasite is free living, then through the evolution, then can survive in the human. So that is called the parasitism. So the parasite that have the ability to fit the environment of the host. Host here means human or some others, animal or some snails. So the host, as we said before, the host will not get benefit from the parasite. So the host doesn't like this parasite. So they try to get rid of the parasite through this innate immunity or the acquired immunity to try to kill or remove the parasite. The parasite is also quite smart. They want to survive to get the food in a human. So they change the structure like the skin of this parasite, all through this immunoevasion to try to avoid the damage through the host from the host. So that is the host can impact on the parasite. Then the parasite live in a human, they can get this food and the others nutrition from the human. So, and also the parasite, some of them is also can cause the damage to the host. So there are several ways the parasites can impact on the host, such as the one is the direct damage through mechanical damage. Some parasites quite big, they move around, can cause damage, like the damage to the liver, damage to the brain, or some others. And also the parasite need to survive. They take a lot of the nutrition, so the host will lose the nutrition. So that is the host. The parasite also can secrete some toxic material that can cause the hypersensitivity to the host. So that is the pathogenic mechanism in the parasitic disease. So the mechanism or the trauma or the inflammation or toxin or energy manifestation of this kind of the parasite. That is why we said the parasite can cause the disease is through this kind of the mechanism. So once the people got infected by the parasite, so the parasitic disease there's several stages. The first initially is called the infective individual without symptom. This goes through called acute stage. Then slowly go to the chronic stage. Some of them even go to the advanced stage. So the several different kind of stages. They have different clinical manifestation. So the one question why should we study the parasitology? Since you know as a doctor, since this is the basic human parasitology is the basic subject of the medicine, and also the parasite can cause the disease. Since also this parasitology is related to the immunology and the pathogen. So that is and also we give some examples. Since such as the doctor can publish this paper related with the parasite is in a high professional in a good journal, and also is quite benefit for their career development. Since how to study the parasitology, as we know, the parasitology for each parasite is including the following part, including the morphology part. Morphology part, as we said, we will finish it. We will study it in the laboratory class. It's on the microscope. We can look at the real parasite, what it look like. Then the second part is the life cycle, as we mentioned before. Life cycle is the key part of this when you study the parasitology. Then the pathogenesis and the clinical manifestation. Since that is as a doctor, you got to know this clinical manifestation. Once, because the patient to see the doctor, they will just complain, say, "Oh, I have fever, I have abdominal pain." Or you need to, based on this kind of the clinical manifestation, try to form an idea to see maybe it's infected by some kind of the parasite. So that is the clinical manifestation. Then the diagnosis laboratory diagnosis. Here the majorly means the laboratory diagnosis. You know this, as we said, the parasite, the clinical manifestation normally is not very typical or specific. Like the parasite, if the invade in the liver, they will call the liver-related symptom. If the parasite invade into the brain, they will call the brain-related symptom. So to make the diagnosis, we have to find this like egg or the adult worm or this kind of life stage of this parasite to make the diagnosis. So that is the golden standard. Or if we can find the parasite, one stage of this parasite, such as the egg in the feces or the larva or the adult worm, then you 100% sure this is you have this parasite infected. Then is about epidemiology. Epidemiology is you got to know there's in some area there's some specific parasite. Then the prevention and control. Prevention, there is several principles or you need to know. And the treatment, prevent, control the treatment. Treatment, you need to know the medicine name or medicine's name. You don't need to remember the dose or the how many days to do the treatment. You just need to know at this stage, or you need to know the what kind of the medicine name to do the treatment. So the key point is the life cycle, like the how many stages of parasite life cycle, which stage is the infective stage, and how they got infected in the life cycle. There is which stage inhabited the humans, and also once they go to into the human, is where the get this like where the survive the adult worm, because the inhabited is important, as we said, or inhabited in the intestine, or they will cause a different symptom if they inhabited in the brain or some other place. This which stage is primary cause of the disease? Because some parasite is the larva stage cause the disease. Some parasite use the adult worm cause the disease. It's different. So it's the life cycle, the different stage is you got to know. This for diagnosis is which stages were detected for diagnosis. Some of them is egg, some of them is adult, some of them is larva stage. So it's, each parasite they have a different stage for the detection. Here's an example, like the life cycle of the C. sinensis. So the C. sinensis, you through this picture, you need to know the host, like the host. Here you see the human is a definitive host, the adult worm living the human. So that is the human is the definitive host. That's in the life cycle is the intermediate host is like the snail. Snail is the first intermediate host. Then is the fish. Fish is the second intermediate host. Then is this cat and dog. They can also eat the fish. They got infected. They also lay the egg in the feces. The egg also go into the water. So it's here we call this animal as a reservoir host. So in the life cycle, we got to know this kind of a host first. There is a life stage of this parasite, such as the cysticercosis. Is the first stage is egg. Let's say the egg. Egg. Then egg is then the snail takes the egg. Then do the further development. And finally release the scaria. Scaria is going to the water. Then embedded into this the fish. Then forms developed metacarya. So in the metacarya, this stage is the infective stage. What is called the infective stage means the people eat the fish, they will get infected. Then once this go into the human body, this developed the adult worm is in the bile duct of the liver. So that is the living organ is in the bile duct. So that is then over there they lay the egg. Then it needs to go into the intestine, mix with the feces, go into the water. So that is the life cycle. Then you know to do the treatment, like to prevention. Prevention, you don't eat raw or uncooked fish. So this kind of the measures you can know based on this life cycle. So here's some textbook. You can read, or you can read some online website. There's several good websites. This kind of the textbook you can also for your study textbook of the human parasitology. There are some good websites. There's a lot of the information about the parasite. The one is the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Here's the website. This parasites. Next time we will study this parasite one by one. You can get a lot of information from here. Then is the TDR, WHO. The TDR, you can also get the information about this parasite. The NTD network, the website. Since here is there's some teachers. My name is Li Xuerong. There's some other teachers who were for this the full human parasitology course. So the exam score or test score. So we have this is the initial plan. We may change it later because like the lab test right now we don't know if we can do it or not. Since previous like last year we used the middle exam is 30%. Final exam is 30%. The lab class lab exam 20%. This also need to write a review. The review is any topic related to the parasitic disease. Since you can submit it is like before December 24th of this year. Then the lab report and attendance is 5%. So as we said, when you are required to write a review any topic related to parasite disease. So here the review is the format is including this title, abstract, keywords, main body, and reference. Since we ask you to write is more than 3,000 words, not including the reference. So the reference style, you can check the journals. There's that on the journals, I just give you 1 or 2 examples. Such as you can look at this Nature Review or Disease Primer. You can see the schistosomiasis. That is the review, the type. Since today we talked about the parasitic disease. Since how important it is, that is why we need to study the human parasitology. And also the interaction between the parasite and the host is the key content of the parasitology. And we also mentioned is how to study the human parasitology, majorly focus on the life cycle and also others. Okay, since today's class is over, since let's do it next week. Thank you.